different. So 5.2 is just analyzing the graphs of the polynomial function. So as you can see here, it just wants to make sure you are comfortable analyzing the graph. So determining the end behavior, the X and Y intercept, which is all the skills that you learned in 5.1. Does that make sense? So 5.2 is just a continuation of that. So what we just did now is what you should be able to do here. So it wants you to analyze the graph, but this time instead of giving you the graph, it gave you the function. Does that make sense? So now you're going the other way. So I'm giving you the function, and now you have to find all the attributes from the function without graphing it. So here it says to find the standard form. In order to find the standard form, that's where I'm going to FOIL and distribute, right? So I FOIL and distribute. So to begin with the FOIL, I'm going to end up with x squared minus 4x plus 4. That's the FOIL part. And now I'm going to distribute. So we have 3x to the third minus 12x squared plus 12x. And then we have x squared minus 4x plus 4. And I'm going to combine. So my f of x equals 3x to the third minus 11x squared plus 8x plus 4. How do you feel about going from factored form to standard form? So FOIL and distribute, FOIL and distribute. Good. Okay, now we're going to talk about the degree. Now that I'm in standard form, should you be able to tell me the degree of the function? What is the degree of this function? It's a third degree function. What is the leading coefficient of this function? 3. It's a positive 3. What is the y-intercept of this function? 4. That's 0, 4. Are we good? Your x-intercepts come from your what form? Your factored form. So my factors were 3x plus 1.
That's going to be
and x minus 2. So this is x equals negative 1/3. And we have x equals 2. And it's a multiplicity of 2. It's a double multiplicity. Why do I know it's a double multiplicity? Because it said squared, right? And that lets me know that it's a double multiplicity. This is what 5.2 is about. 5.1 was analyzing the graph. 5.2 is analyzing the graph through the function. How do you feel about analyzing the graph through the function? How do we get the x-intercepts? You use your factors. Remember, to find x-intercept is taking the factors and setting them equal to 0, and then you solve for x. From here, you should be able to tell me what's the end behavior, what's happening, where does it cross, where does it should it fall, how many turning points are there, right? Yes, that's good, because now we're gonna do it. So we're gonna do our little sketchy sketch.
it ends positive, right?
It ends. Why does it end positively? Exactly, the leading factor is positive. So we have our intercepts at negative 1/3 and 2, and our y-intercept at 4. So I'm going to graph that. So I'm at negative 1/3. What are you doing, computer? It's doing weird things. So we're at negative 1/3. We have 1, 2, 3, 4. And what was the other one? 2. Okay. And we know that we end what? Positively. And we know at 2, there's a what? A multiplicity. So I end positively. At 2, I'm going to bounce. I'm going to make my way to my y-intercept. And I'm going to pretend that these are all straight lines. And there is my cubic function. Do we see how we work backwards? Was it terrible? It wasn't too bad, right?
Yeah, you can't remember.
It's a lot of little pieces, but putting it all together is where it comes together. It is what it is. All right. Yes. So all this is again, for 5.2, all we're doing is going through and doing that. There's a piece where when you have decimals like this would be a strictly graphing problem in a calculator. So if there's decimals in the problem, that's a sign that you will be graphing it in the calculator and then just analyzing it from there, okay? And that's it. We'll talk about regression model later.